Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Today on the program, emerging victorious on his second shot at the Senate.
Sana patuloy yung pagtutok sa bilangan, sa canvassing.
His candidacy boosted by the back-to-back endorsements of the president and his daughter.
Because I have to be true to myself. Kung ano yung sinabi ko dito, yun na yung suportahan ko.
A former political advisor and MMDA chief.
What I'm proposing right now is to consolidate all agencies involved in water distribution.
With administration allies dominating the Senate, how can the institution retain its independence?
The history of the Senate shows members of that chamber independent ever since.
Senatorial candidate Francis Tolentino joins us live. Thank you for joining us. I'm Pinky Webb. Administration allies dominate the midterm senatorial race, with some people raising concerns if the Senate as an institution can maintain its independence. One of the candidates, backed by President Rodrigo Duterte and his daughter, Sara Duterte, was a former Metro Manila Development Authority chief and longtime Tagaytay City Mayor. He didn't make it on his first try at the senatorial race in 2016, which he questioned, accusing then 12th placer Senator Laila de Lima of cheating. But he is now secure in the 9th spot, according to the latest results from COMELEC's transparency server. But the conduct of the midterm elections is not without controversy, with a poll watchdog requesting time to hold the proclamation of winning candidates. Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have soon-to-be Senator Francis Tolentino.
Morning, ma'am. Morning.
Hello, how are you, sir? Happy?
Okay naman po. Morning to your viewers as well.
Good morning, sir. You are landing 9. How do you call yung inyong ranking na 9?
Masaya po na normal lang naman po yun na masaya ka. But I'd like to thank all those who supported Francis Tolentino, the religious groups, Iglesia ni Cristo, the President, Mayor Inday, Sara, who really worked very hard. Of course, yung Panginoon natin sa taas.
Yung difference, sir, of course, from 2016 was that you did not have the endorsement of the president back then. It's different now.
I ran as an independent. Never had a stage to be part with. Wala pong team. Ragtag talaga, no? Pero ngayon naman siguro, okay naman siguro.
Well, so, just honestly, sir, were you more confident this time around having a Mayor Duterte, a Sara Duterte, and especially the Iglesia?
Nakaka-nervous pa din kasi
Talaga?
yung lineup, puro electionist yun eh. Puro mga mas popular yon. And you have mga movie stars yung kasama mo sa ano, di ba? So, I relied on the issues I carried with me, serious issues confronting the nation. So, siguro naunawaan naman ng ating mga kababayan yan.
Sir, you know, when you look at your ranking at number 9, kasi there are people na overtake mo, such as a former Senate President, Coco Pimentel, you have Senator Nancy Binay, si Senator Revilla na unahan mo rin, and even, well, si Senator J.V. Ejercito. What do you think was your edge? At ikaw pang, naunahan mo pa yung former and senators right now, sir?
Hindi ko talaga alam. Siguro masipag ako. Kasi sobrang sipag. Masisipag din sila. They're also qualified. So, taong bayan naman siguro. Modesty aside, yung sipag, lahat na yun. Sama-sama na siguro. Lucky 9.
Lucky 9. Sir, sabi nila, pero ano yun? What would it be? Because they would probably, yung name recall would probably be higher sa kanila than sa'yo. Is it, what did you do different this time around, do you think? That
I used the name Tol. Yung
nakatulong
Tol.
talaga yun?
Nakatulong siguro kasi parang ano yun eh, brother, sister. Nakatulong. But siguro mas taimtim yung panalangin ko ngayon.
Sir, pag tinignan natin yung, you know, if we were to look at the ranking, ninervyos ba kayo nun? Because the last Pulse Asia ranking, which was possibly, if I'm not mistaken, May 3 to 8, lumabas kayo doon at 10 to 15. And then, ito na nga, with the PPCRV unofficial tally, you are ranking number 9. Was this a cause for concern, sir, sa inyo, yung latest Pulse Asia survey, May 3?
Medyo, kasi mababa lagi ako doon, but I have, modestly aside, I have other surveys, internal surveys, other firms. Siguro pwede ko nang banggitin.
Where were you landing? In this?
Argus was number 10. And then you have that Pulso ng Bayan where I was consistently number 9. So sabi ko meron naman. Plus yung marami mga online polls na that showed a different result. Tapos yung exit polls ng OFW, 7, 8 yun eh. So dasal pa rin.
So you were definitely more confident this time around than...
Hanggat hindi nagsisimula yung pero galing na ako dito noong 2016 eh.
Yes.
So yung predicament, yung stress, yung nervyos mo, nandun na rin yun eh. Nandun na yun, pareho na rin yun eh. So, dumaan tayo sa proseso.
Proclamation of the candidates, sir. Has there been any talk on when you will be proclaimed? Because sinasabi possibly Monday, tama ho ba?
Mga lawyers ko nandun eh. So ngayon, hindi mo na ako lumalapit sa PICC. So, pinabayaan ko na sila na magpapa-check up nga ako bukas eh. I've not done this for the last 2 years, so bukas na lang.
Okay. However, sir, there is news that the Caritas, the social justice arm of the CBCP, is actually calling the COMELEC to postpone the proclamation of the candidates pending a possible investigation on possible fraud, sir, because yung nangyari. SD cards, vote counting machines, and the transmission of
Siguro
votes.
we leave that to the COMELEC in the performance of their constitutional duty. So alam nila yung gagawin doon. So hindi ko nabasa yung kasi kagabi natulog muna ako.
Were you concerned, sir, nung lumabas yung delay doon sa pag-transmit ng boto from 6:15 p.m. Yun naman po yun eh. Tapos yung sunod na batch lumabas 1 a.m. the next day.
Of course, concerned ka kasi nakahang. So as a candidate, siguro lahat ng candidates, whether national or local, may concern din sa ganun.
Should this be investigated? Because the Senate plans to look into the conduct of the polls, sir.
Of course, dapat siguro ma-explain ano yung reason for the delay. Was there a mere glitch? Kasi dumaan na rin nga ako doon eh. Di ba? Tandaan mo yung 16, yung enye-enye. So, if there's gonna be an investigation, dapat transparent yun at maintindihan ng sambayanan.
Yung sinasabi po kasing vote counting machines at SD cards, you have about 400 to 600 vote counting machines na nasira, about 1,000 SD cards that were damaged. Yun ho ba, malaki ho ba yung posibleng epekto or to possibly look into the integrity or the credibility of the elections?
We leave that to the COMELEC. Ako ngayon, yung sa nabasa ko, I'm more concerned with the overvotes eh. Baka nawalan din ako doon. Kasi Cavite nag-overvote ng, I was informed, 50,000. Sayang din yun. So, concerned din ako doon. Was this because of lack of voters' education? Or napabayaan na lang? So, sayang din yun. 1 million Filipino votes not counted. Malaki yun. In a tight race for 12, 13, baka very critical yun.
Yeah.
Game changer.
In fact, I wanted to ask you that, sir, kasi medyo yung 11, 12, 13, naglalaban-laban pa rin talaga. Although sa PPCRV, 99-point-something% na lumabas. But of course, that is partial and unofficial. Ano ho ba yung pakiramdam kapag nandun kayo dun sa parang nasa 12 kayo or nasa 13 kayo?
Naranasan ko na po yan. Oo. Walang lasa na yung kape nun eh. Nung day after election. So, ang hirap po nun. No offense to the personalities involved in that predicament right now, but I've been there. Nahirapan po tayo nun. Very stressful.
Look at that, sir. I mean, you have Senator Nancy Binay at 14.3 and then Senator JV at 14.1. So talagang, actually, even Senator Bam is at 13.9. What I'm trying to say, sir, is you're looking at possibly, what, 200,000 vote difference.
Yeah, so lahat po yan qualified. So I felt what they're feeling right now, pero talagang ganyan po yan eh.
This was such a tight contest, ha, sir?
Medyo talagang maigting to, masikip kasi ang daming re-electionist comebacking, ang daming movie personalities. So, but yung desisyon ng taong bayan siguro, later on siguro mas maraming mga political analysts na mas magaling mag-explain ito.
We look into the composition of the Senate once pumasok po yung 12. And that will be, well, proclaimed maybe, possibly next week. We'll look at the possible composition and, of course, what is being questioned now, the independence of the Senate, with majority, of course, of the senators part of the administration. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. We'll be right back. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guest today is senatorial candidate Francis Tolentino. Sir, the Senate composition, let's just put it at pagdating po ng 18th Congress, there are going to be 4 members of the opposition, whom are Senator Drilon, Senator Pangilinan, Senator Laila de Lima, who is detained, and Senator Risa Ontiveros. So parang lumalabas, majority, of course, is going to be with the administration. Questions on the independence. How independent will you be?
Tinanong sa akin to before, pero like other candidates, siguro, one, the treatment should be for the Senate as an institution. And when you speak of separation of powers, Executive Department, Supreme Court, and the legislature, part lang yung Senate as the upper house. But when it comes to legislation, siguro ang dapat, no offense to the media, ang dapat makita nyo ngayon is the three layers. Layer one is the president's legislative agenda, which he has been advocating since day one of his administration. Layer two is our party's legislative agenda. I'm referring to PDP Laban and Hugpong. Layer 3 is Francis Tolentino's personal legislative agenda.
Okay.
Some of this will intertwine. Remove layer 2, most of the president's legislative agenda
And the PDP agenda.
and my personal agenda, as shown during the campaign, would probably interlock. One, for instance, when
So, complementary sila. Well, sir, sorry, isn't that the obvious? Kasi kaya nga ho kayo naging admin senators because you are in line with the legislative agenda of the president.
Not necessarily. I espouse the creation of the Department of Disaster Management since 2016. The president is in favor of that. So if I push for that, it doesn't mean that I'm being a rubber stamp.
Because you initiated
Yes,
it. Okay.
pa yun. Even before the height of the El Nino crisis, I've been espousing the Department of Water. The president, after 2 weeks, supported that. So would that mean I am a rubber stamp? Hindi. Kasi nagpareho na yun eh.
Yeah.
So there are instances na pareho talaga yung pinag-uusapan namin. So it's
Parehong pinag-uusapan niyo or kayo pa nag-initiate, sir?
meron pa ako na modesty aside. So it's not an indicia of being a rubber stamper.
Yeah.
Di ba? So we now integrate again layer 2, yung party
Agenda.
legislative agenda. This has been validated, this has been espoused during the campaign and validated by the votes. So maraming layers po yan. So it's not a mirror image that Francis Tolentino, for instance, would be a mere rubber stamp. I support the president. Walang masama doon. So hindi po yan nagsasabi na rubber stamp ka. Kaya look at the Senate as an institution, not just as individual senators.
I guess the question really is, sir, meron ka bang palagay mo, in all honesty, utang na loob kay Pangulo?
Ay, opo. Opo, 100%. 100%. Susuportahan po natin yung legislative agenda ng Pangulo Nagkataon lang pareho eh. Pareho po yun eh. Pareho kami nag-mayor.
Was there ever an agenda that you were against ng Pangulo? Meron ho ba? Foreign policy?
I was a member of Congress. I was a member of cabinet before. So nakikita ko naman si presidente hindi naman po nagdi-dictate yan eh. Hindi po siya nagdi-dictate na ito yung gawin mo, secretary. Hindi ko nababanggitin. So there was an instance wherein and the records will show, when I stood up for OFWs as regards the legal assistance fund. Sabi ko, bakit yung, Mr. President, bakit po yung nakalagay dito sa batas ang polisiya noon pa ay bakit po yung OFW tutulungan lang pag na-convict na? Sabi ko po, from the time of arrest, investigation, prosecution, trial, tulungan na po yan. And the President agreed. So yung mga ganun po, nagkakatugma
He
kami.
listens.
Yes.
Yeah.
ROTC revival. I push for that. Sabi ni Presidente, balik na natin talaga yung ROTC. So, talagang marami kaming tugma eh. So,
That's why you were political advisor. That's why you were the point person for disaster preparedness. No, sir, I'm enumerating your roles prior to you running for senator. Yun naman ho talaga yung naging, ang una niyang trabaho kay Pangulo, di ba, political advisor, sir?
yes.
Yeah. Okay, and then after that, napunta
but I
kayo sa disaster
support
preparedness.
the President's legislative agenda. Kasi yun din yung gusto ng sambayanan na pinakita noong 2016. You cannot deviate from that. His legislative promises, executive powers, emergency powers, for instance, sa Metro Manila. Susuportahan ko po yun. So, it's not running down your throat eh. Pareho talaga eh.
Kumbaga, hindi ka napipilitan kasi in line doon sa iyong
pareho eh.
advocacy as well.
Mafa-fine-tune lang yan. The President being a lawyer, will always adhere to the constitutional precept of separation of powers.
Sir, you will be part of the 18th Congress. Of course, after your proclamation, you begin, when, sir? June 30 ba?
I think so. So,
Okay, matagal-tagal pa rin po. But I want to talk about some of the, part of the interviews we've discussed, sir, because nakatatlo na ata tayong interview. And I specifically remember, and I've said this over and over again, sa inyo ko po una narinig yung Department of Water, bago pa, sir, magkaroon ng problema sa tubig na naranasan natin dito recently, month or two ago. Wala pa hong nakikinig, wala pang problema masyado yung tubig. You espoused this already. Sir, how can this be done?
So I would need to consolidate all documents relative to not just the recent water crisis, but the future needs of our countrymen. Kasi yung sa records ko, 9 million Filipino households walang gripo sa bahay. Nag-iigib yung bata bago pumasok, malilate sa eskwelahan.
9 million households?
And I'm speaking of clean, potable drinking water. Hindi yung inigib lang sa balon. And the negative trickle effects would probably be diarrhea, you have malnutrition, other health issues, and even yung study patterns ng bata, late sa school, hindi na makasagot sa exam. So, ang dami nitong So, I'm looking...
Sir, I think water really is a basic human right.
Yes, tubig yun eh. You can delay buying gasoline for your car, pero hindi mo naman pwedeng sabihin, huwag muna tayo uminom ng tubig, di ba? So, yun po yung isa sa mga priority ni Francis Tolentino.
What will you do? What can you do?
The integration of all national government agencies catering to water services would have to be looked into. You have LUWA, you have the National Water Resources Board, you have the National Irrigation Authority, you have the MWSS. Pagsamasamahin na to, gusto ko makita yung yung pangangailangan natin sa 2025 na halos walang tubig ang Pilipinas. So, yung pagtatatag ng isang Department of Water similar to the Department of Water of Vietnam and Thailand, talagang kailangan tutukan na ito.
Before we go on a break, sir, bakit kayo napunta dito sa problema sa tubig at nakita niyo po yung need really to consolidate all these agencies? What prompted that?
As a disaster preparedness advocate, nakita ko yung pagtama nitong El Nino. Sabi ko, as early as December, tubig ang kailangan natin eh. Nung nag-iigib na sa Pasig, Marikina, sabi ko, ito na yon. Nung nagbitak-bitak na yung lupa sa Pagudpod,
nag 500 million damage sa agriculture sa North Cotabato. Ngayon, 8 billion na sa buong Pilipinas. Sabi ko, tubig talaga yung problema. Nakita ko yung, ang dami ko na napuntahang bukid na lalaki ng bitak na lupa sa Arayat. Nakita ko po yun. So, paano na yung agriculture natin? Paano na yung basic commodities uli na pagkain? Baka tumaas na naman yung presyo. So, tubig talaga yung kailangan. So, to have a national water agency, not just for policy making, for regulation, kasama na yung sourcing, conservation, lahat-lahat na, palagay ko yun ang kailangan ng Pilipinas.
We'll be taking a short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. What do you... You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guest today, senatorial candidate, soon-to-be Senator Francis Tolentino. Sir, so good that Department of Water, you will call it what?
Department of Water. Suportado rin po ito ni Presidente.
Yeah.
So talagang nag-sync po yung legislative agenda namin dito.
And kailangan po ng batas dito
Yes.
para gawing Department of
Yes.
Water. Sir, I remember when we were talking the last time, we couldn't even keep count on the number of agencies involved in the water situation
Kasi
in the
sasama
country.
mo na dito yung mga dam operators, sasama mo yung Laguna Lake Development Authority, pati yung mga rivers natin, yung sino
Okay.
nagmamanage niyan.
Next is, sir, the disaster management. Dahil, again, there, a couple of earthquakes felt in the country.
During the
sir.
campaign.
Yeah, during the campaign. And I know, sir, you also went to...
Correct.
yeah.
Tumigil ako ng one day.
Nagpunta ho kayo doon. So, what can be done about being prepared for disaster, sir?
So there is a need to revisit the National Building Code when it comes to earthquake and typhoons kasi napakatanda na po ng ating National Building Code. There is a need to really put some technological standards insofar as construction materials are concerned. So, kailangan pong itap na rin natin yung mga private groups ng civil engineers. So, yung sa akin, yung ulit-ulitin ko, I've been saying this for several during the sorties na yung quick rehabilitation, quick recovery should be at the forefront. Hindi lang yung rescue operations. Lives are important, but we need to rebuild communities. Kailangan mabilis, kailangan hindi matagal sa evacuation center.
And how can we do that?
There has got to be a department, a separate agency in charge, not just an ad hoc collegial body. No offense to the NDRIMC, you're doing good, pero kailangan natin day in and day out, scientists researching, urban planners researching, a separate department in charge of reconstruction. Na yun lang ang gagawin. Alam naman natin yung trajectory ng bagyo.
So, dapat may isa pang department on?
Disaster management. Yun
Iba,
na lang.
iba si NDRRMC.
Kasama na,
iba-
absorb na si NDRIMC, absorb na si OCD, absorb na si PBOLS, absorb na si Pag-asa.
So, meron tayo
Yun na lang siya.
Department of Management. That's
Disaster. Yun na lang yan. Kasi number 3 ang Pilipinas sa most vulnerable in terms of disaster sa buong mundo. Tanggap na natin yon na every year ang binabawas sa GDP nito, alos 2%. Yung pinagawa mong bahay, pinagawa ng FW, sisirain lang na isang signal number 3. Ang hirap.
All right. In the Senate, sir, ano ho kayang committee ang gusto nyong mapunta sa inyo?
Gusto ko po yung top of mind, makamagalit sa akin yung iba, environment, local government, and foreign relations.
Any or all?
Bahala na po sila.
All right. Maraming salamat po sa inyo, Senatorial candidate Francis Tolentino. And sir, we wish you luck and we look forward to these, all these plans you have. Sana po magkatotoo. And and I hope it actually really works, sir.
We'll try to comply with our promises.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.